na maging handa sa lahat ng oras. Hiniling po namin, Ama, na patuloy niyo po kaming protektahan, especially ngayong pandemic times. Hiniling po namin, Ama, na gawin niyo pong bukas ang aming isipan at puso, especially po sa training na to na marami po kaming matutunan. At parating niyo pong i-bless ang aming family na maging safe po kami at maging malakas. Mahal po namin kayo. Ito po ang aming dalangin. Iniwan sa pangalan ni Hesus Kristo. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Nag-i-echo ka, Brother Kama, ha? Baka double yung audio mo dyan. So, invite natin si Brother Jesse Lopez for the opening remarks, and then we'll turn our time to Brother Kama for the presentation. Brother Jesse.
Okay. So, good evening, my dear brothers and sisters. I was so delighted upon knowing sa ward level is going to have yung room for earthquake and in behalf ng state presidency. Ayan, pasalamat ako sa ganitong you have a leader na enthusiastic para matutunan yung mga bagay na necessary for us to prepare as led by the living prophet. Kailangan natin talaga tugunan nito. And I want to share sa mga maunlad na bansa, especially sa UK, wherein yun yung mga first word na meron. Even sa kanila, ang itinuturo ng gobyerno sa kanila is drop, cover, and hold on. Wherein sa atin, ganun din, sa eskwelahan, sa offices, sa kahit nasaan ka man, yung basic yung drop, cover, and hold on is very applicable and safe siya. Mas na nag-shake yung ground. Kasi gumalaw yung lupa, kumalog siya lupa. Yung kagad cover, ang coverings ang hahanapin natin. And it's very applicable talaga. Kahit sa bahay, turo natin sa bata, turo natin sa mga magulang na magtatanda sa bahay. Para ma-support na until sa step makarecover or mawala yung dol. At saka tayo lalabas ng building, lalabas ng bahay, lalabas para mag-gather. And isa sa importante sa pag-gather is alam natin yung head count. Kung ilan tayo sa bahay o ilan tayo sa opisina natin, kung ilan yung tao dapat kabisado natin. Para sa kung meron bang hindi nakalabas, nakapunta sa evacuation center para i-rescue naman. Kaya importante yan, alam natin yung bilang natin. Kasama natin sa bahay, kasi nawawala. And it's very essential part. At saka, after ng paglindol, dun yung makikita na kailangan nyo i-fortify sa bahay nyo. Pero in preparation to that, na-check nyo yung electrical ng bahay, which is no one is doing it. Kailangan i-check yung electrical kasi kadalasan yung after effect ng earthquake is yan, pwedeng sunog, pwedeng yung mga may leakage na gas na LPG sa bahay, chinecheck natin yan. Chinecheck din natin yung mga tao may karamdaman sa bahay, baka hindi na ma-bear yung sobrang takot na may prepare natin sila. And another things in preparation, parang lots of videos na napapanood ko na ginagawa ng members sa states na with yung mga predictions ng ating mga prophets na written in the Bible, yung earthquake na pero din sa Amerika na napakalaking fracture, yung sinasabi ng St. Andreas Fault, na napakahaba ng fracture na yan. And ito yung kinukumpara ko dito sa atin sa Philippines. Ang fracture pala nung sinasabing big one is not just naka-highlight lang yung 100 kilometers mula Doña Remedios, Trinidad up to Calamba, Laguna. Yung pala, kung titingnan nyo yung mapa ng PBOX, it's actually hanggang mula Pangasinan hanggang Davao yung malaking fracture. And maybe isa sa pag-isipan ko baka ito yung gagamitin ng ating Panginoon. Dadating yung time magkakaroon ng lindol, written in the Bible, in the prediction na magkakaroon ng malakas na paglindol na kagaya nung nangyari sa Sahara-Herem bago dumating si Jesus Christ na nagkaroon ng kadiliman ng 3 araw, nagkaroon ng malakas na lindol, hindi lang galing dun sa nativity, hindi sa pinanggalingan ni Jesus na lumindol din nung siya namatay, umabot sa kabilang hemisphere. So I was thinking, kung itong lindol, malakas na lindol nito will be worldwide, maapektuhan sinasabi ko sa inyo sa California, which is the St. Andreas Fault, and ito yung big one na fault na sinasabi sa atin sa Pilipinas. And for us to be able to prepare, yung kailangan natin, every needful thing na sinasabi, kailangan natin ihanda sa ating sarili. And para ma-surpass natin yung challenge na ganun, and until ma-preserve natin yung family natin, yung sarili natin, and hindi na natin alam what comes next, kung ito na yung second coming or ito na yung the final flag na sinasabi sa Bible. But then, our leaders, hindi tayo pinababayaan na they continually guide us. Yung instruction, napaka-importante for every conference, for every talk ng ating living prophet. Yun ang kailangan ninanamnan natin for every conference na meron tayo. For us to learn yung wisdom ng Diyos na ipinapasa sa ating living prophet. And I know, this sa paggawa natin ng ganito, giving knowledge sa mga members natin, alam ko na ipipreserve tayo ng Panginoong Diyos. And again, nagpapasalamat ako for inviting me, sharing my little knowledge for us to become wise na sa atin. Let's be wise enough sa mga instructions sa ating prophet, especially mga local leaders natin who prepares itong mga ganitong training. And salamat sa word niyo, sa leaders niyo, especially si Bishop Laura and Brother Kama. And I know these things are true, and I leave these things with you in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. So before we turn our time to Brother Kama, I would like to acknowledge President Samson, the first councilor on the state presidency, to be with us this evening. Sige, si Brother Kama, I'll turn the time to you now.
Thank you, Bishop. Sandali, I'm preparing my... Okay. Thank you very much, Bishop. Okay, well. Okay, I would like to welcome you all to our earthquake awareness training. The reason why we do this is at the end, we will be going to have our backup plan. We have to discuss what we're going to do in case of these disasters such as earthquake. Now, let's start with knowing what is an earthquake. Earthquake is the movements within the earth crust. Maya-maya, ipakita natin sa inyo ang layers ng ating mundo. Now, this is for the sake of our background knowledge on what is the earthquake. Now, in the earth's crust goes stress. Nagkakaroon ng stress to build up at the points of weakness and rocks to deform. This is, I'm referring to the tectonic movements in our faults. Let's continue. Makikita natin dito, this is the crust area. Now, hindi, according to the scientists at saka mga geologists, hindi sulit pose of tectonic plates sa taas. May mga tectonic plates, it's a wide, vast, solid elements na nakapatong-patong. This stores the energy and builds up at the same time. As energy builds in the spring of a watts, then it is wound. When the stress finally exceeds the strength of the rock fractures. Naalala nyo itong binanggit ni Brother Lopez, along a fault, often at a zone of existing weakness within the rock. Ito yung mga fault na ito yung body of rocks, may mga weakness sila. So let's continue. The stored energy is suddenly released as an earthquake. Intense vibration or seismic waves spread out from the initial point of rupture. Ito yung sa epicenter niya. The focus like ripples on the pan. Now, pag naghulog ka o tutulo ang tubig, yung single drops ng tubig sa burst of water, nagkakaroon siya ng ripples. Makikita nyo. Kahit pagbuhos kayo ng tubig sa baso, nagkakaroon siya ng ripples. Yun ang seismic waves niya. So let's continue. These waves are what makes the ground shake and can travel large distances in all direction. Ibig sabihin, sa lahat ng buong radius niya, magta-travel siya upward or widen siya. Near the focus or the epicenter, the waves can be very large, making them extremely destructive. Now, here's the structure of the Earth. As we can see, the upper portion is called the crust. Ito yung tinatayuan natin. Ito yung crust. That is, ang thickness niya from the upper layer is 25 to 60 kilometer under the continents and 4 to 6 kilometer under the oceans. So, ibig sabihin nun, ang ocean, from the ocean natin sa taas, mas mababa siya kaysa upper natin, which is the highest peak siguro ang kinunan nila ng basis, why it is 60 kilometer and 6 kilometer under the ocean. Continental crust is quite complex in structure and is made from many different kinds of rocks. So let's continue. The mantle, ito yung pink, yung tawag natin na mantle. Below the crust lies the dense mantle, extending to a deep of 2,890 kilometer. Wow! ang taas. It consists of dense silicate rocks. Both P and S waves from earthquake travel to the mantle, demonstrating that it is solid. Maya-maya, papakita ko sa inyo what is this P and S waves. Okay, let's continue. Now, the core. Have you seen a movie, The Core? Anyway, the core at a deep of 2,890 kilometers is the boundary between the mantle and the Earth's core. The core is composed of iron, and we know that it exists because it refracts seismic waves, creating what we call a shadow zone. At a distances between 103 degrees and 142 degrees, dito natin makikita sa diagram niya, we also know that the outer part of the core is liquid because S waves do not pass through it. So let's continue. Anyway, ito backgrounder lang. So seismology, may nito palagi, that is correlating to the earthquake. Pag may earthquake, may nyo kaagad ang seismology. Seismology is the study of earthquakes and seismic waves that moves through and around the earth. A seismologist is a scientist who studies earthquake and seismic waves. What are seismic waves? Seismic waves are the waves of energy caused by the sudden breaking of rock within the earth or an explosion. They are the energy that travels through the earth and is recorded on seismographs. So every time may earthquake, nakaka-record yun sa seismographs. May parang heartbeat na nag-record. Types of seismic waves. There are several different kinds of seismic waves, and they all move in different ways. The two main types of water are body waves and surface waves. Let's see what is this. Body waves can travel to the Earth's inner layer. Ibig sabihin, sa ilalim, pwede siyang mag-travels. But surface waves can only move along the surface of the planet. Sa taas lang siya. Like ripples in the water, earthquakes radiate seismic energy as both body and surface waves. Now let's go to body waves. Traveling to the interior of the Earth, body waves arrive before the surface waves emitted by an earthquake. So mas nauna, huli siya kaysa surface waves na ini-emit ng earthquake. These waves are of a higher frequency than surface waves. Now, P waves, the first kind of body waves is the P wave or primary wave. Ito ang una natin maramdaman sa surface. This is the fastest kind of seismic waves and consequently the first to arrive at the seismic station. Refer to the epicenter and the places and area where the earthquake happens. Uy. The P wave can move through solid rock and fluid. So both liquid and solid, pwede siya mag-travel, mapipenetrate niya. Like water or the liquid layers of the earth. It pushes, remember, pushes and pulls. Pinupush niya and hinahatak. The rock it moves through just like sound wave push and pull the air. Ang bows ng mga speakers, ito yung ano nila, yung bagong invention, naka-pattern to this. Makita mo, ang mga speakers lang nasa front, kaya ang advice nila, pag bumili ka ng Bose na speaker, ang upuan mo kailangan may distance from the wall at your back. Kasi yung sound niya, ihagis niya, maririnig mo, papunta sa iyo, then pag nag-bounce sa wall, maririnig mo ang pagbalik niya. So that's, ang P-wave, ganun din. So, i-push ka niya, at saka bigla kang hatakin. Have you ever heard a big clap of thunder and heard the windows rattle at the same time? Yung pag thunder niya, tapos nag-rattle yung mga glasses nyo sa mga windows. So that is like just like the P waves. The windows rattle because the sound waves were pushing and pulling on the window glass, much like P waves push and pull the rock. Sometimes animals can hear the P waves of an earthquake. That's why sometimes in Japan, ginagamit nila ang aso, lalo pa sa mga provinces, to identify if there is an earthquake. So titingnan nila palagi. Kaya makikita nyo in Japan, most of the people there in their household, they have dogs. For instance, commonly begin barking hysterically just before an earthquake hits, or more specifically before the surface waves arrive. Kasi nauuna talaga palagi ang P waves. Usually people can only feel bump and rattle of these waves. Now let's see really what is ang kamukha ng P waves, kung ano ang pag-push and pull niya. P waves are also known as compressional waves because of the pushing and pulling they do. Subjected to a P wave, particles move in the same direction that the wave is moving in, which is the direction that the energy is traveling in and is sometimes called the direction of wave propagation. Okay, this is the sample of P waves. If you can see here, nagmo-move siya, ang direction of propagation niya is to the right, then bigla niyang hahatakin. Let's see again. You see, he push and pull. So, yan ang nangyayari sa lupa na wherein the earthquake is happening. Pinupush niyang lupa at bigla niyang hahatakin. And there's so much more worse than that. Let's see. Remember these waves that I'm discussing with you, all of them will occur during a single earthquake. Even a 10-second earthquake will be composed of these waves, una P waves. Then, pangalawang hatak niya is the S waves, then the love waves and the body waves. Let's see in the S waves. The second type of body wave is the S wave or secondary wave, which is the second wave you feel an earthquake. Let's see what an S wave is slower than a P wave and can only move through solid rock, not through any liquid medium. So sa rock lang siya, sa tectonic plate lang siya gumagana. It is this property of S waves that leads seismologists to conclude that the Earth's outer core is liquid. Pero thousands of Fahrenheit ang heat nito ng liquid na ito. S waves move rock particles up and down or side to side perpendicular to the direction that the wave is traveling in, the direction of wave propagation. So this is the S wave. Tingnan niyo kung gaano katindi ang wave niya sa lupa. Imagine, yung kinatitirikan ng bahay mo, ganito ang nangyayari sa kinatitirikan niyang lupa. You see, it's just like a wave. Kaya tawag siguro S is, nagpo-form siya na S. May mga part na iakyat niya, then i-pull niya pababa. Parang dinaanan ka ng wave ng dagat, ang ilalim ng bahay mo. So the higher the intensity or the magnitude, the propagation of these waves is so much more ang damage na mangyari sa area ng where the earthquake is occurring. So let's see the other waves. Surface waves, traveling only to the crust, ito sa taas lang. After the P wave, the S wave, ito naman ngayon ang surface waves, sa taas lang siya, are of lower frequency than the body waves and are easily distinguished on a seismogram as a result. Though they are arrived after body waves, it is surface waves that almost entirely responsible for the damage. Itong sumisira because third wave na siya eh. Una, inuga ka ng P waves. Pinupush and pull ka niya. Second, yung S waves parang parang siniswing ka niya. Then here comes the S wave, the surface waves, which is the most dangerous. Produce damages, destruction associated with earthquakes. This damage and the strength of the surface waves are reduced in deeper earthquakes. Let's see what is the itsura ng. And then we have the love waves. May love waves, ha? The first kind of surface wave is called a love wave, named after A.E.H. Love, a British mathematician who worked out the mathematical model for this kind of wave during 1911. It's the fastest surface wave and moved the ground from side to side, confined to the surface of the crust. Love waves produce entirely horizontal motion. Let's see the sample of the love waves. Oy, pindot ko. Now, this is the love waves. Let's see. So, just like the S waves, pero mas matagal ang propagation ng wave niya comparing to the S waves. Let's see. Iakyat ka niya sa taas, ihulog ka, then iakyat ka naman niya. So what will happen to your building if you will experiencing these waves? Okay, so let's go further. This is the Rayleigh waves. So waves rolls along the ground just like a wave rolls across a lake or an ocean. Because it rolls, it moves the ground up and down, and side to side in the same direction that the wave is moving. Most of the shaking felt from an earthquake is due to the Rayleigh wave, which can be much larger than other waves. It's one ng itsura nito. The other kind of surface wave is the Rayleigh wave, named for John William Strutt, Lord Rayleigh, who mathematically predicted the existence of this kind of wave during 1885. Okay, this is the sample of Rayleigh wave. Hindi siya nag-wave, pero tuloy-tuloy ang propagation niya, steady, may lower portion, may upper portion, then nagpropagate siya. Yun. So that is, you will experience pang-apat na wave na maranasan mo during an earthquake. The higher the intensity and the higher the magnitude, the magnitude will produce so much damage and destruction to properties. Now let's go to tectonic. Now, minsan, dalawa kasi ang factor minsan nag-earthquake. First, this is plate tectonics, which is really dangerous, produce dangerous earthquake. The other one sometimes is the volcanic eruption. When we say kasi volcano, is not only on the surface, which we see there's a mountain, there's a crater in consider as its mouth in the upper portion. We call it volcano. But there is a lot of craters, just like the volcano, in the inner portion of our planet. Now, as the core heated, sometimes there's some liquid na we call it lava pag nasa volcano na gustong lumabas. So, dumadaan siya, pilit siya daanan yung mga cracks ng plate natin, kaya it produces misalignment. A mere 0.1 centimeter na mag-move ang plates, it will produce a magnitude of 6 intensity sa taas. Ganun katindi yun. Now let's go to the divergent boundary. Hot magma rises from the mantle at mid-ocean ridges, pushes the plates apart. Hatiin niya. So, again, sinasabi ko na kunti lang ang movement niya, malaking epekto sa taas. Earthquake occur along the fractures that appear as the plates move apart. Siya sa katabi niyang tectonic plates din. Pag nag-move siya rightwards, aakyat siya ang bato. Bababa yung tectonic plates na sinasapawan niya. This is why if you see the geographical mapping of the Earth, sometimes that places is higher. 100 years after, nagiging lower siya. Noon mountainous ang region na yan, after 100 years, bumaba because of these earthquakes. In fact, the big one, na maya malalaman natin, or sa site ko na binigay sa inyo for primer, makikita niyo na this big one happens, according to the seismologists at mga historian, happens in every 400 years. Yung big ano na ito na they are claiming that it will come to the point na 7 to 8 magnitude ang lakas niya. So in every 400 years nangyayari ito dito sa line of fire, which is kasama tayo na Pilipinas sa line of fire na yan. So mamaya mapag-usapan natin yan. So destructive boundary, subduction zones, the oceanic plate is pushed down or subducted below the continental lithosphere. As the oceanic slab descends, earthquakes are generated within the slab at the interface with the plate. So makikita niyo ito, bababa ang isang plate, mataas ang isang plate. Ay nagkaroon ng change. Okay, let's continue. Ang convergent boundary. Nakikita niyo, this is two tectonic plates also. Continental collision result in the creation of mountains and fault belts as the rocks are forced upwards. Ito yung pag nagbangga sila, yung nauna, yung nakaputulod pataas, yun ang tataas. Yung sa baba, which is the second one, pababa ang bagsak niya. So, a mountain, a higher portion will be produced. So, nag-change. Yung nagkakaroon ng mountain bigla. Even in the ocean, sometimes, according to mga navigators before daw walang bundok dyan, walang island dyan. But 10 years, 20 years, 30 years ago, earthquake happens and the surface began to change. Nagkakaroon ng island pagbalik nila. So our map changes in every century. Magkakaroon ng mga creation, mga bagong islands, bagong bundok na natutuklasan tayo. So non-stop ang paggawa ang paglabas ng mga bundok. Anyway, again, ito naman ang transcurrent boundary. In California, ito usually ang nangyayari na, especially in Denver. Yung two plates niya nagsa-slide side by side. Kaya nga sabi nila, lulubog daw ang California. Anyway, where two plates slide past each other, earthquakes originate at shallow deeps. California is a good example of this type of boundary. So that's it. Okay. Now, ito ngayon yung tectonic, at least they have, I think, 20 plates all over the world. There are 20 tectonic plates ang na-discover nila. And here in our place, sa Philippines, makikita nyo, we are also included tayo sa line of fire. Mamaya mano natin yan. So again, that is the line of the tectonic plates ng buong mundo. When these plates squeeze or stretch, huge rocks form at their edges, and the rocks should shift with great force, causing an earthquake. So kung ito sila lahat mag-move, wow, parang pandemic, buong mundo magkaroon ng shaking. Now, this is the ring of fire. Pag makita nyo, titingnan nyo, pag sinabi mong ring of fire, prone ka sa earthquake. Prone ka ang lugar mo. So here the Philippines, saan bang Pilipinas dito? Dito siya, napasok tayo sa ring of fire. Remember, brethren and sisters, when there was an earthquake, when there is an earthquake, assuming in an urban location, just like Metro Manila, automatically after the earthquake, there will be explosion. Kung sa mga beaches, there will be tidal waves. This is the after effects. Why? Sa urban area. Bakit may mga explosion? Now, sa building, may mga gas tube sila. May mga parang tubig, yung mga tubo ng gas yon. Usually in Makati sa mga ano tawag dito, mga condominium, naka-line ang gas nila. So when earthquake occur, nababagsakan yun, nag-open yun. Kaya ben sa bahay natin, pag bumagsak ang bubong natin, pagtatamaan ng mga dingding natin, mga solid object, yung gasol natin, sisingaw yan. Now, sometimes yung mga bakal, pag nagbanggaan, it will form a friction, which is flame, nag-iignite ng pagsabog. So, whenever you see an earthquake place, mamaya makikita nyo mga earthquake, makikita nyo yung maraming usok. May video ko mamaya papakita sa inyo. Maraming usok. Okay, sige, let's continue. Now, earthquake intensity. Intensity is measure of an earthquake determined from observed effects, especially damage. For a given earthquake intensity, normally decreases with the distance from the epicenter. So makikita nyo may number yan. So let's continue. The observation can be compiled to make macro-seismic maps showing lines of equal intensity. Now, the Seismology Society, they produce a category or classification of the intensity or the force or the damage or the strength of an earthquake. So this is we call a Mercalli intensity scale. At 1, this is referred to an earthquake occurred not being filled. Hindi nafe-feel ng mga tao. Especially mapipil lang sila ng mga aso, mga gano'n lang ang nakakaano sa kanila, but physically hindi nafe-feel ng tao. Number 2, felt only by a few person at rest, especially on upper floors of the buildings. Doon lang kasi ang ang focus of the swing pag nag-earthquake, yung pinakataas, hindi yung baba. So nafe-feel doon sa taas. So only few person at rest ang maka-feel nito. Number 3, felt quite noticeably by person indoors, especially on upper floor of the buildings. Many people do not recognize it as an earthquake. Standing motor cars may rock slightly, vibration similar to the passing of a truck, duration estimated. Now, in the 4th, signal felt indoors by many, outdoors by few during day and night. Some awakened, this is when those doors disturbed, walls make cracking sound, sensation like heavy trucks striking building, standing motors cars rock noticeably. So nakikita mo, nag-rock. So then the 5th, felt by nearly everyone. Many awakened, some dishes, windows broken, unstable objects overturned, pendulum clocks may stop. So this is the number 5. Now 6, felt by all. Nafe-felt ng lahat ng tao within the pyramid, within the earthquake area. Many frightened. Some heavy furnitures moved. A few instances of fallen plasters damaged. Slight. Then the 7th, damage negligible in buildings of good design and construction. Slight to moderate in well-built ordinary structures. Considerable damage in poorly built or badly designed structures. Sometimes kasi, kung magpagawa tayo ng bahay natin, we tend to cheat the regulation of our MSO here in Marikina. But, hindi natin alam, nilalagay natin sa delikado, sa danger, yung family natin in case of this happen to you, to us. Pag nag-earthquake, hindi natin sinusunod na kailangan ganito, gusto natin dinadaya para hindi tayo magastusan, but we do not know and we are uncertain for the future that what we do put our family in danger. Okay, number 8, damage slightly in specially designed structures, considerable damage in ordinary substantial buildings with partial collapse. Damage create in poorly built structure. Malaking sinasabi, damage create. Sobrang damage ito sa mga poorly built structures. Fallen chimneys, factory stacks, columns, monument walls, heavy furnitures overturned. Then the 9, damage considerable in specially designed structure. Well-designed frame structure thrown out of plumb. Damage created in substantial buildings with partial collapse. Building shifted off the foundation. So, parang lumabas na siya sa foundation niya. Okay? Now, the 12 na ba ito? 12. Damage total lines. Damage total. Lines of sight. Yung tingin mo, line of sight mo, distorted na lahat. Damage na lahat makita na. Lines of sight and level are distorted. Objects thrown into the air. Imagine that. That destruction. Now, magnitude and intensity comparison. Magnitude and intensity measure different characteristics of earthquake. Magnitude measure the energy, the release of the source of the earthquake. Magnitude is determined from measurement of seismograph. Oops, sobrahan. Intensity measure the strength of shaking produced by the earthquake at a certain location. So ang energy that emanates from the earthquake, yun ang magnitude. Intensity measure the strength of the shaking, yung effect. Ang pag-shake on a certain location, yun ang determinants nila sa intensity. The size of magnitude of earthquake is determined by measuring the amplitude of the seismic waves recorded on the seismograph and the distance of the seismograph from the earthquake. Yun ang size ng magnitude. These are put into a formula which converts them to magnitude, which is a measure of energy released by the earthquake. For every unit in magnitude, there is roughly a 30-fold increase in the energy release. For instance, a magnitude of 6.0 earthquake release approximately 30 times more energy than a magnitude 5.0 earthquake. While a magnitude of 7.0 earthquake release approximately 900 times more energy than a magnitude of 5.0. Later on, I will show you ang equivalent ng magnitude earthquake comparing to the nuclear bomb. Mamaya. The following table gives intensities that are typically observed at location near the epicenter of earthquakes of different magnitude. Normally at 7.0 magnitude, from the epicenter, ang total damage noon na delikado is from the first 400 yards. But the earthquake can be felt up to 80 miles radius. So depending to the location, this can produce a lot of damages to properties. Okay, dali. Now, magnitude niya 1 to 1.0 to 3.0, typical maximum sa Mercalli intensity is 1. Now, then here, ang pinakamalakas is 7.0 and higher. So, sa 13 na tayo. Line of sight natin are distorted na lahat ng makikita natin. Di ba? So, napakadelikado. 7, parang yan ang ano natin yung boundary. 7.0. But the big one, as they told, is more than that. Anyway, let's see a video. This happens on, I think, Indonesia or Thailand. Ay, ano, noob. Yan. That is a real-time video taken from Thailand, I think, nung naglindol sa kanila. Nepal, magnitude 8.1. You see, ganun lang shake niya. Yan babagsak pa ang tower dito sa side. Yan o. Boom. Japan, 2011, 9.1. Kita mo shaking, no? Ng building. Pero Japan kasi mga building nila doon, may mga rollers na yan eh, that could withstood the earthquake. Eh. I think the only buildings here before is the Magsaysay building, harapan ng Diamond Hotel. May mga rollers yan. Na kahit anong shake, nag-roll yan sa babang foundation niya. Dahil lahat ng embassy officials dyan before nakatira. Kaya ganun katindi ang safety nila. Not a supermarket. Mexico 7.1. So makita nyo may mga usok kasi may mga sumasabog yan after the earthquake. Bagsak. Alaska, magnitude 7.1. Grabe shake yun. Okay, now, yun ang mga real time na mga earthquake na nakunan sa camera. Now, during the earthquake, there is some instances, depende sa location. Usually, this is nangyayari malapit sa mga rivers at sa mga seashores. This is what we call liquefaction. What do you mean by liquefaction? Liquefaction is that yung liquid na mga buha at sa kasama yung mga buhangin sa ilalim ng crush natin tinutulak palabas because of the force of the seismic waves. Now, yung matigas na lupa sa taas, hinahatak niyan pababa. So, ang nalabas ngayon, these liquid elements and this buhangin became mud. So, sila ang lalabas. Kung tatamaan ang lugar nyo nito, bali lalamunin ng mud na ito, particles, yung bahay nyo. Let me show you the actual footage of this taken from the satellite. Brothers and sisters, hindi sa tinatakot ko kayo, but later of this report, of this training, ipapakita ko sa inyo kung saan ang liquefaction area ng Marikina. So, let's continue. Oops. Dali. Now, this is a satellite taken. Tingnan nyo. Mabuti. Yon, nag-move. Kita nyo lumalabas yung mga putik. Kinain niya. Nilamon niya yung mga bahay. That is what we call liquefaction.
This process, this act, missing in this region. Make sure people see what it was. This can happen anywhere. People make close, but y'all do something.
So, yon. Now, let's go sa ano ba yun? Okay. At 7.2 magnitude, earthquake generates 3.98 petajoules or same as energy in 63.5 Hiroshima atomic bomb. Parang hinulugan ka lang ng Hiroshima atomic bomb. Yung equivalent ng 7.2 magnitude. Then, equivalent to 951.5 kilotons of TNT. Di ba? Ang lakas. 7.2 magnitude. Then, equivalent of 796 214 of the range lightning flashes. Grabe, no? Then 30.16 million gallons gasoline na binuhos sa iyo at sinindihan. Ang sabog niya, parang 7.2 magnitude. Then 1.9 billion of dynamite sticks na pinasabog sa lugar mo. That is the equivalent of 7.2 magnitude. That seismic energy is also equal to 1,105.56 gigawatt hours of 1.5 of the Philippines' total generated power in 2012. 2012 because nakuha ko ito na report 2012 pa. Anyway, let's continue. Now, this is our city. Dali, ah. Okay, this is our city. This is Marikina. Now, if you can see here, na-colorize nila ang place, yung mga location. Now, nakalagay dito, pag puti, no collapse. This is about, the rest analysis in total floor area. Bakit nandito kasi ito? Natabunan. Paano ko ito Okay, the total floor area in collapse damage para sa 7 damage state for a magnitude of 7.2. Now, pag nakita mong yellow, sa area na yan, low number siya. Ang floor area niya is 1 to 41,500, low number. Ang orange, which is here, dito sa Marikina, medium number siya. Then the high number is the colored pink, which is Antipolo. And here, Pasig siguro ito, yung naka-red siya, very high. So, this is sa collapse damage. Ibig sabihin yung magko-collapse ng mga building. Of course, low number siguro dito kasi ito parang, ito Marikina, ito Malanday, up to Tumana, medium number siya. Because kunti lang yung mga high-rise dito sa atin. So, let's go to the next. Okay. Dito naman tayo sa complete damage states. Yung complete damage state. Same again, Malanday Tumana, nakikita natin, this is the river. Then, more on Quezon City. Yung sa kabila ng Lower Malanday, ito yung subdivision, lahat yan, total damage. Then again, Antipolo, dito, medyo pink, medyo mataas din ang damage niya. In the wars, ito yung sa Pasig na side, which is more on very high number. So, then yung let's see sa dito, yung tawag dito, Marikina First Ward, naka-medium damage din siya. So let's continue. Okay, this is naman sa project estimated economic loss for a magnitude. So economic loss, medyo wala tayo. Okay lang kasi medyo mababa naman yung economy natin dito sa Malanday. Walang medyo mga factory talaga na malalaki. So medyo naka-yellow tayo, naka-low. Okay. This is the rest estimated number of fatalities. Ibig sabihin yung mamatay. Sama mamatay. Fatalities during the magnitude 7.2 West Valley Fault earthquake. So we have still here. Malanday, medyo mayroon. So, makikita nyo, Antipolo totally high siya. More than 600 very high fatalities. So, ayan. Sa atin, medyo din. 201 to 400 fatalities. Abot ang taasan natin, abot. Bayan-bayanan, abot. So, yon makikita natin. Now, if you want to know exactly, you go to the PBOLs, then mayroong satellite map sila, ang tawag doon, Hazard Hunter. You click your address, i-generate nila ang naka-PDF form na i-send sa email mo kung ano ang mga damages sa lugar mo in case this will happen. Though it is only approximation, but it will not far from the reality na may mangyari sa lugar mo. So you can go to PBOLs, go to hazard or damage hunter, then they will navigate you to parang Google satellite map na makikita mo mga baybay. Then hanapin mo ang address mo, you double click it, tapos PDF will be sent in your, because ilagay mong email mo, may questionnaire sila, then a PDF will be sent to your email. Okay? To be sure, para hindi tayo magagam-agam. Now, let's go now to what we have to do. Ano gagawin natin? What to do during an earthquake, essential survival and safety tips. If you prepare, earthquakes can be managed kung preparado ka. So let's discuss this. Learn what to do in an earthquake. Imagine this. You're going about your daily business, working at the office, driving to the store, or walking in your neighborhood when suddenly the ground beneath you starts moving. After the initial surprise, you realize you're in an earthquake. So, what should you do? Okay? So ito. If you are inside a home or a building during an earthquake, first thing first, if you feel an earthquake, resist the urge to run outside. If you are in a building, modern buildings are designed to withstand large earthquakes, but windows can shatter onto the streets below. The exterior masonry may fall off as well, because usually ang facades ng building, if it is not masonry, it is more on salamin. So delikado yon. They are not designed to withstand a 7.2 earthquake. If the foundation can withstand, the glasses are not. This means there is a greater chance you'll be hurt if you're near a building during an earthquake than if you're in it. Sa loob ka, stay put. What to do during an earthquake if you are outside? What if you're outside? In that case, get away from the trees, power lines, both of which may topple, or as well as buildings, which likely won't fall but may drop debris on you. If you can shelter in a place, do so. So, kung nasa open space ka, example sa kalsada, avoid these things, trees, power lines, and matataas na building. Dahil there's a tendency that something na attached sa building na mga designs nila, usually mga bulletin boards nila doon with frame na mga bakal will fall on you. So, go to the open space. But I don't think na may open space pa dito, especially Manila. Anyway. If you are in a car or driving an earthquake strikes, anong gagawin mo? Pull over to the side of the road. Stop and set the parking brake. Kasi, pag uyog-uyog ng earthquake, baka tatakbo sa sasakyan mo. So, handbrake mo siya. Avoid overpasses, bridges, power lines, signs, and other hazards. Signs is yung mga billboards. Avoid mo yon. Bridges. Lalo pa pag under ka ng bridges o kaya sa taas ka ng bridges, kailangan madalian mong bumaba ka. Overpasses. Malapit sa mga overpasses kasi ang tendency, pag bumagsak yun at ikaw ang mababagsakan. Stay inside the vehicle until the shaking stops. Then, proceed carefully by avoiding fallen debris. Cracked or shifted pavements. Mag-avoid ka sa mga nagka-crack, shifted pavements. Baka liquefaction may occur. Lalamunin ka. An emergency vehicles. Now, halimbawa kung nagbabiyahe ka, stay inside the vehicle, then lumabas ka lang after the shaking. If power line pulls on the car, stay inside until a trained person removes the wire. Don't panic that you may force yourself to go outside. Pag may pag may mga nakat at saka nakapatong ang open line sa sasakyan mo, baka makuryente ka. So remember that always. Then learn what to do other unique and specific earthquake situation. So you can be safe wherever you are when the earth shakes. Protect yourself during earthquake shaking. Ito kaninang binanggit ni Brother Lopez, drop, cover, and hold on. The best way to shelter in a place is to drop. Kanina napanood nyo sa video, I think sa room, nung nag-shake, lahat sila automatically pumunta sa ilalim ng misa. That is drop, cover, then hold on. When the quake starts, drop to the floor as soon as you can. It's easy to get thrown off your feet and injured if you try to run while the building is moving. So kasi at the first wave niya, pag tumakbo ka, baka itapon ka pag susundan ng malalakas na wave. So you have to drop to the ground para kahit anong swing sa'yo, naka-level ang katawan mo sa sahig. If a table or under form of cover is nearby, then move quickly. Crawling works. Tapang ka to get underneath it. Finally, crouch in position with one arm over your neck para maproteksyonan mo ang head and another hold to the table leg para hindi ka humiwalay sa mesa. Para kung ano man ang mangyari pa magbumagsak, sasaluhin ng mesa. This is an assumption of that building. They are designed to withstand until 8 ata. Pag hindi lang dinaya ng contractor nila. In most situations, you will reduce your chance of injury if you drop cover. So drop wherever you are, drop onto your hand and knees. So, kahit anong klaseng misa, with one arm and hand, cover your head and neck. If there is a nearby desk or table, crawl under it for shelter. If there is no shelter, crawl next to an interior wall away from windows. Ibig sabihin, hindi ka aabutin kahit mabasag man ang windows. So mga interior wall. Halimbawa, di ba, yung mga office ngayon, pag sa building ka, may mga tawag silang yung mababa ng mga wall, doon ka para makaprotect sila sa iyo sa mga basag na ano. Then hold on. If you're under shelter, hold on onto it with one hand. If there's no shelter, hold to your head and neck with both arms. Pero naka-drop on the ground ka. What not to do in earthquake? There's a lot of misinformation out there. And it's understandable to be confused. Now that you know what to do, make sure you also know what not to do. Do not run outside. Dahil nga, the reason why, pag tatakbo ka, magpanik ka, punta ka sa labas, may mga bumabagsak na debris from sa taas, ikaw ang unang tatamaan noon. shelter in a place again using the cover and all done. Do not gate in a doorway. Do shelter in a place under a table in modern houses and buildings doorways are no safer and they do not protect you from flying or falling objects. Sa wag na wag kang lumapit or magstay sa doorway. What not to do in earthquake. There's a lot of misinformation. Do not make phone calls. Why? Do text. Mag-text ka lang. After experiencing a large earthquake, it's mainly a text will have more likely to experience network congestion. Too many calls can overload the communication grid, making it harder for first responder to get their calls. Everyone will be safer if you limit your calls after an earthquake. And if you don't have power, you want to save your phone's battery power for when you need it most. So don't panic, text ka lang. Kasi bigyan natin pagkakataon yung mga emergency at saka mga responders can receive their call. If lahat tayo just like in the season of December, lalo pag December 25 and New Year, nagkakaroon tayo ng communication congestion. Nag-overload ang communication natin because everybody wants to greet their family and friends. So, nagkakaroon ng congestion. Same with the earthquake. So, let's not do that. Let's do only by texting our families. How are you? Anong nangyari? Okay na ako dito. Para hindi sila worry sa iyo. Okay. Likewise, don't call 911 unless you experience a true emergency. Unless someone is hurt, leave the system open for first responder to get to the injured as quickly as possible. So likewise, don't call 911 because maybe you call 911 to rescue you, but ano yon, medyo napaka-selfish mo naman dahil hindi naman importante, lahat naman nangangailangan ng tulong. So let's leave that. And don't forget to put on shoes. One of the most common injuries since after an earthquake is a cut feet, caused when people walk or run barefoot over broken glass and other sharp objects. So keep a pair of shoes near you at night sa ilalim ng kama mo. And make sure your children do too. Kasi when a sudden earthquake will happen, pag may shoes ka sa tabi mo, malalaman mo, mag-wear pala ako ng shoes. Because patakbo ka, talaga, madilim. Ano ba, nag-brown out ka agad after the quake. Instead na ma-save ka, ang mga, you put their foot in danger, magkakaroon sila ng sugat that will be gangrene, magagagaan din pag hindi agad, maggamot, magkaroon ng infection. So that's another problem besides the earthquake. So kailangan may shoes ka na ready. So yan ang mga maliit na bagay but it can do a lot for us. Shoes. With a little bit of preparation, you can avoid some of the biggest problems associated with earthquakes and get back on your feet more quickly after a major event. Oops. For example, it's a good idea to keep flashlight and pair of shoes next to your bed. This way, if quake hits the middle of the night, knocking out power, you'll be able to make your way through a darkened house after the quake. So, flashlight, shoes, maybe a whistle, para in kaso takpan, natabunan na hindi ka nakasurvive ka pero you are under the debris, pwede kang magpito para malaman nila. Now, let's go now. We know now everything about the earthquake. We know what will happen. We know what is an earthquake. We know the damage, the strength of the earthquake can do to us, especially in our properties. Now, for so long, our charge taught us, and every ward and every state must have an emergency plans. Now, since January pa namin ito discuss sa ward namin, hindi lang kami nabigyan ng pagkakataon na may discuss namin in all the members. Pero most of our leaders identify na nila ito. Now, I'll be focusing in our ward situation, but at the same time, Marikina 2nd, Marikina 3rd, and Marikina 1st, please visualize that you can apply this also in your own ward. Through your leaders, you can converse within among yourself through the inspiration of of the Holy Spirit. You can make your own in this pattern. Okay, so let's go. Now, emergencies can occur in our ward, including severe flood, pandemic, and anticipated the big one earthquake. A variety of responses will be demanded depending on the type of emergency we are experiencing. So, hindi siya isa lang ang response natin. It depends on how the demand of our response, kung ano ang damage or ano ang disaster na nangyayari sa ward natin. Now, this will make us as a leader, they will make us prepared in any situation. We know what to do. And may naka-assign na mga leaders natin kung ano ang gagawin nila. So the bishop cannot be on panic na gawin mo ito, gawin mo ito. Alam na niya kung ano ang gagawin niya because everybody on his leadership know the things that they have to do. Okay, the evacuation may be called for demanding that members have portable kits to address needs for 3 days to 2 weeks in the case that the surrounding areas must evacuate. But we do not. Remember, we do not. We may be called upon to serve evacuees' needs requiring us to have stores to draw upon. Now, brothers and sisters, I understand if this happened, this earthquake, the first thing we have to do is to tend to our families. Unahin talaga natin families natin. This plan is designed after you secure your families, then we have to fulfill our obligation, our calling to the church. That is the time that we will respond to the other needs. But first of all, your priority first is your family. Okay? So, sheltering in place in the home or out of the home may also be required. In both cases, supplies in the home will be vital. Ward leaders should determine how they would teach emergency preparedness to members and report annually to the High Counselor assigned to the ward. Now, no one knows when will this happens, but according to the report of this so-called credible sources, seismologists, professors, scientists. Again, kanina sinabi ko, and every 400 years nangyayari ito. And according to them, we are now on the 356 years since nangyari ito. If they are correct, and their assumption is correct, we have at least 35 years pa. But let's see, they're wrong. On that 35 years, anytime this might be happening to us. So let's not make sure tomorrow is uncertain things for us. So ibig sabihin, dapat ngayon pa lang we start to plan and we start to prepare. So 35 years now, but who knows? Now, responding to community emergencies. Now, aside from our church, we are advised to follow the advisory of our LGU or our local government units. Now, in our ward welfare, sila kaagad ang gagalaw during these times. After ensuring that their families are cared for, itong sinasabi ko, unahin yung families nyo, after you tend your families and you make sure that they are secure, saka tayo gagalaw for our ward responsibilities. So the ward welfare committee should convene immediately pag okay ng family nila. Review any instruction of counsel from civil authorities and the state presidency. Now, whenever this happens, happen, we are advised to also make an initial assessment of the condition of the members and others. Now, mamaya, malalaman natin kung sino-sino ang naka-assign dito. Kailangan, automatically, we will know what happened and the condition of our flocks. So, we have to immediately assess our members. Determine what help to offer the ward and community. Now, the LGU have the capabilities of sending us their support through foods, whatever that we need in emergency situation. Confirm overall responsibilities, making sure that the bishop and others, as he directs, are available to minister to the people, and that others, as assigned, focus on the physical arrangement needed at the time. Maya-maya, isa-isahin natin yan. Set the time and method for follow-up communication. So, last training, we discussed about the radio communication kasi totally brown out agad after the earthquake at the rate of 7.2, lahat ng mga postin dito sa atin will be put to ground. So, communication kagad. Now, communication plan natin. Goal, every member contacted. On the first wave of the destruction or the earthquake destruction of the earthquake, may mga load pa, may mga ano pa naman siguro tayo, may mga ano yung ano natin, yung cellphone, may mga battery pa. So, ministry brothers and sisters are to contact all the people they have stewardship over and to check on their own neighbors. This is not only focused to the members of the church, but generally to all our neighbors. Okay? So let's have to check them by way of any form of communications. Notify members of emergencies. Check on needs by phone or physical contact. So, i-check agad natin ang situation nila. Of course, that is after we tend our families, our own families. Coordinate first aid needs of evacuation transportation. Coordinate ang first aid needs, yung needs ng mga kapitbahay natin or kasamahan natin ng mga members, kung may mga sugatan ba or ano bang needs nila immediately, then yung evacuation transportation natin. Evaluate and coordinate food, water, shelter needs with the bishopric through an assigned member of the bishopric. Mamaya, makikita natin lahat yan. So, notify bishopric of action and status of all members. Missionaries must be accounted for. If telephones are not working, present holders will be used as messenger to the bishopric or stake presidencies. Goals for a variety of types of response to community emergencies. Now, evacuation. We have to identify our evacuation. Now, before, yung goal natin dito, no member left behind, either on flood, typhoon, and earthquakes. Now, before, yung evacuation na ina-identify nila is the area of South Supermarket. If this will happen and there will be no instruction from the LGU after the earthquake, 24 hours after the earthquake, about the evacuation, our own evacuation center will be on the chapel. So doon tayo kagad diretso. Ye shall flee like as ye fled from before, and all the saints with thee. So yon. Possible roads. Using safety roads to go into the Lamuan Chapel as indicated in the ward evacuation plan. Proceeding as official advice to get out the area. Now, ang sa atin, corner ng Malaya at sa Katuason. You from your house, respective house, you visualize nyo ang mga daanan nyo, yung make a preparation na walang matataas na building. So doon ang daan nyo. I-visualize nyo yun. And palagi nyo thrice a week para magiging ma-imbue siya sa mind nyo na magiging ano nyo na yung subconsciously repetition is the cloud na magiging subconscious mo na pag mangyari ng earthquake doon ako tatakbo. Then at the corner of Malaya Quezon, then at the corner of Malaya and Repuso Street. So pag may mga member tayo na sasakyan, upon matapos na ihatid ang pamilya nila doon sa chapel, iikutan kayo sa mga kanto na ito. Pero sana during this evacuation, wag naman nyo dalhin ang buong appliance nyo sa bahay. Just dali lang nyo yung mobile para maganda ang mobility nyo. Okay? Marikina first and Marikina third, you think of a place where they can rally among themselves. You determine, sabihin natin 3 district. So saan ang point ng evacuation nila, preliminary evacuation nila, na doon sila pipick upin. So okay. Those with a car have an extra space, coordinate with those who need ride. Then take an evacuees. No member homeless. I was a stranger and you took me in naked and you clothed me. I was sick and you visited me. I was in prison and you came unto me. And as much as you have done it unto one of the least of these my brethren, you have done it unto me. Remember this always. During the time of crisis, we should emulate our Savior in doing help to our fellow beings. Now, using the church building as a shelter, the bishop will automatically communicate with the stake president to have the permission or to President Samson to decide that they will give us permission to open the church building as a shelter for not only for the members but to all the victims of the earthquake. Na magkasya. Huwag naman natin pilitin pa hindi magkasya. So now the building maintenance and security, EQ high priest. The EQ president will assign to the priesthood holders to maintain and secure the building. Ibig sabihin, titingnan nila na secure the building at saka na-maintain kalinisan at kaayusan. Then the food preparation will be automatically be done by the Relief Society sisters. Hindi na kailangan dito na utusan pa kayo. Upon the earthquake happens or the calamity happens, ito na kaagad ang gagawin nyo. Childcare, mga primary. The purpose was to keep these infants and youngsters out of the unsanitary conditions in the flooded homes during the day and allow the parents to concentrate their efforts in cleaning, repairing, and rebuilding. So their children will fall to the care of the primary organization. Para naman magkaroon ng pagkakataon ang parents nila na maglinis or do something important in their homes. Interior bedding and room arrangement. The elders will maintain or check the interior beddings. Kailangan may mga rules tayo. Hindi pwede kumain sa higaan. And the room arrangement must be sanitized. At saka magandang arrangement, hindi sa butsari, yung baliktaran, mga ganon. So, the elders will have to do that. Exterior shelter arrangement. High priest and Aaronic priesthood. Yung sa labas, para makapanginhangin doon yung mga victims. So lahat doon ang mag-arrange niyan at saka mag-ano niyan, yung Aaronic and High Priest. Family reunification. Primary and young women presidencies. What do we mean with family reunification? Halimbawa, ang parents nagpaiwan, pinadala ang mga anuhin ng primary. Kung mga youth na under sa mga youth, pagdating ng parents nila, automatically i-reunite sila. Sabihin niya, ang anak mo nandito. That is primary and young women presidencies. Leadership communication, bishopric and executive secretary. Sila ang palagi nagko-communicate sa LGUs and sa state. First aid, healthcare, elders quorum. Sila dapat may training naman tayo sa first aid. So, tayong in charge dyan. So, yung mga CR, yung mga basurahan, kailangan every rooms palaging malinis at saka ang basurahan, mini-maintain palagi, kinukuha, itatapon. Huwag pabayaan na sila pa ang mga evacuees ang maglilinis. It is our place to maintain the cleanliness and the sanitation of our edifice. Using members' home for shelter. So maybe after that, tapos okay na, ang ibang nasira talaga ang bahay, we can request other members and other neighbors to shelter those people na nasalanta na nawala ng bahay. Again, pagdating na sa mga shelters, again, Relief Society is in charge for the food. So encourage members to think of the need to share resources in times of emergency. A welfare policy of the church is to have its members store stocks of foods for emergencies. In this case, virtually all flood victims immediately lost their food storage. However, church members on the perimeter were able to draw upon their own supplies to assist the families who moved in with them. So, kung tayo mayroong emergency food storage, we have to share it. So, kasi hindi naman tayo pababayaan ng government natin, may mga darating talaga yan. So, let's not be hoarding our foods and supplies. Now, clothing, ang in charge young women. Kung talagang biglaan, there's a tendency na damit lang natin ang nadala natin. So, the young women will collect, will be dapat kung mayroon na silang stocks na mga relief goods, mga cloth, they have to distribute it to the evacuees. So if we can follow all this, nakaka-prepare na ang ward natin. Children and 10 services, primary and young women. So kung anong ma-serve natin sa mga children, kung anong pwede natin magawa na hindi sila maboboard, mga ganon, let's do creatively. To not make them annoying us. Kasi siyempre, annoying talaga, iiyak sila, takbo-takbuhan. So, we have to adjust with them. Again, communication, elders and Aaronic priesthood. Pagdating na ito sa shelter, we're talking about shelter here. Health coordinators, high priest. The high priest will still often go around checking if there is some evacuees na may lagnat or masama ang pakiramdam, and they will report it immediately sa in charge, which is the elders quorum and the high priest din. Okay. Stay in place with or without safe shelter. All members check on. This is our goal here. Flood, typhoon, earthquake. But a certain Samaritan sojourned came where he was, and when he saw him, he had compassion on him and went to him and bound up his wounds, pouring in oil and wine, and set him on his own best, and brought him to an inn, and took care of him. So a minister and brothers and sisters physically check on assigned families and their neighbors, coordinating needs, reporting needs to assigned bishopric members. So let us not forget, titingnan palagi natin those members who are assigned to us, because they will be our responsibility. Inactive or active families that is assigned to us. If not, their blood will cry unto heaven, telling our Father in heaven na pinabayaan natin sila. Their blood is written upon our shoulder. Kung kailangan nila ng first aid, water, yan ang pinaka-problema natin during earthquake, flood, is water. Food, alternate shelter if necessary. Now, members that may need special attention should be paired up with a family who can care for them. This plan should be reviewed by the welfare leaders in the ward every 6 months, and suggestion made for updating and refining the plan based on the current needs. You see, our welfare leaders have a bigger responsibility. Pag wala, ngayon, so far, this is a normal situation, medyo wala sila, but in every disasters and calamities that will occur in our ward, the welfare leaders will be the one who will be in charge. Sila palagi ang tatakbuhan natin. And that is the reason that we want to identify and have a monthly training in any disaster response to our welfare leaders. So that balang araw, mangyari man ito o hindi mangyari, nagiging normal na sa atin. It will be in our subconsciousness na pag mangyari ito kagad ang gagawin natin. Magiging reflex na natin yon. We don't need to be assigned. We don't need to be told what to do. But we will act as our reflex tells us to do so. Di ba? So, kailangan frequent training. Repetition is the key to salvation. That's it. Okay. Clean up after disaster. So, ito palagi ang nalilimutan natin. Pag-evacuate natin, dapat, after that, mag-clean up tayo. Goal, comforting the community. This is one of our responsibility towards our community, is to help them clean up. Checking on families, kahit kapitbahay natin, this will be a service to them. Anong access needs nila? Ano bang mga kailangan nila na patulong sa kanila? Then permission sa maglilinis tayo, tutulong sa pamilya nila. So dapat yun lahat may permission tayo. We can coordinate to the LGU, we can coordinate to our stake presidency to use mga gamit ng church para gamitin sa labas. Okay? Then tools and workers. Some of our members complete sa tools, so we have to make use of that para mapadali ang cleaning up natin. Child care. Yung iba natutulong, maraming gustong tumulong supposedly. After these incidents. But the problem sometimes, walang may mag-aalaga sa mga anak nila. So what can you do? Especially mga youth natin, pwede natin alagaan or kukunin mga anak nila while their parents are helping us cleaning up sa community natin. So yon. For individual services and employment, illness, retreat, brothers and sisters, companionship, use to offer welfare aid to those who need. So, this will happen kung, halimbawa, after the event, the siyempre, iba, mawala na ng trabaho because so ito, palagi natin na narinig ito sa church natin. Every time may training tayo, even in our Sunday school, this forum, elders forum class, we often hear these 72-hour disaster kits. However, siguro most of us hindi pa nakahanda nito because of restraints sa atin. Wala tayong panggastos mabili dito. Mahal din ito. Kaya. But, among sa makaya natin, we have to at least store mga canned foods, mga ganun. I heard a story about a member na bawat pamalingki niya, bumibili talaga siya tag dalawang canned foods, mga ano, tapos itatago niya yun. So, about siguro mga 3 months na, ang dami niya na naipon. So, kasi mas maganda yung parang hindi mo, wala kang plano, pero you do it little by little, then suddenly, time comes that you will be surprised, hala, nakumpleto ko na. Then, again, inspect your house if there is a fire escape. Dito kung minsan, we taken for granted yung mga maliit na bagay, mostly nagpapag-grills tayo ng bahay natin. When fire comes at saka sa ilalim, sa ground floor natin ng fires, hindi tayo makalabas, wala tayong pasukan. Kalabasan, kasi puro grills. So, and then, yung bahay natin kung minsan medyo masikip, para dormer, screw your cabinet para in times na mag-sway ang lupa, hindi kayo babagsakan. Lalo pa ang cabinet nyo na malaki, nasa paanan nyo o sa uluhan ng kama nyo. Yun ang mahirap. Pag mag-sway bigla, una kayong babagsakan. Then, first aid kits. Kailangan mayroon kayo noon. And knowledge to use the supplies. So, naka-first aid training na tayo, we can rehearse it to our ward, to your respective wards. You can rehearse it. Kahit may book kayo na, summarize lang nyo, ipaalam nyo sa mga members. Then you can also do it on your class. Sunday school, give 10 minutes or 15 minutes about this. In your EQ class, give 10 minutes to explain. So, frequently, often, remember, repetition is the key to salvation. Utility shots of tools and plans. So, we have to identify who among members yung may mga gamit. Para in times of trouble, we know where we can go na pwede makatulong sa atin. Emergency contacts. Mamaya ipakita ko sa inyo kung sino ang mga numbers. Hopefully, kopyahin nyo yan. Or you can ask para may padala natin. Gagawa tayo ng medyo parang booklet. Naka-PDF, padala natin ang lahat ng ang numbers from stake leaders down to the emergency LGU unit. Okay, emergency contacts, family plan in case they are separated. Now, in one of your family evenings, not one, but frequently, make this often as possible. During your family evening, you discuss among your families, just like a game, or just informally. Oh, pag nag-earthquake, anong gagawin natin? Anong i-grab mo? Papers, kailangan, mga documents, kailangan mo, ikaw in charge doon. Grab mo. Now, pag nawala na ang sway, ang shaking, saan tayo pupunta? Saan dapat tayo dumaan? Baka kasi may may ano tawag dito? After effects, aftershock. Pagdaan natin sa building yan, third floor bahay niyan, babagsak yan. So kailangan i-identify nyo ang road nyo. Kung magkawala tayo, doon tayo. 30 minutes kaya mag-antayan tayo doon. Corner, Malaya, Huxon. Basta doon na area, doon tayo makita. Kung magkaroon ng panic, paglabas nyo, hindi lang kayo, nagtatakbuhan, nagkaanuhan na. So, yun. So, you talk with your family, just like a game. Para, don't take it seriously, but eventually, matanim yun sa isip nila, it will be inculcated in their mind na ganito ang gagawin natin. So, bata pa sila, kahit bata pa, a 5 years old child can understand that. So, alam na niya, pag maglindol, takbo ako, walang ganon, di ba? So, anyway, it's on you. Relationship that will allow them know about and to help their vulnerable neighbors. So, kung ready na ang family mo, you can invite in the family evening about your neighbors, tsaka malaman mo kung anong vulnerable nila. That in case it will happen, you know what to do with them. Okay? So, each family should regularly drill for various emergency situation and rotate supplies. Well, this can be a good game for us. Pag sinabi ng father na, earthquake! Takbuhan kayo sila ng misa. Ang saya kaya nito, di ba? So, let's practice it. Let's practice it. Remember the schools within our ward boundaries. We should at very least be aware of their presence and prepared to help if we see the needs. Parents needs to ask the school what their plans are for various emergencies. So you have a PTA organization. I don't know if it is nag-ooperate pa because of this pandemic, or if you are still attending in their meetings, or if they continue doing meetings. But if we start in our family, just what I told you, make it a game in your home, maano din yun sa school. So, mga children natin, they will be the one to teach it on their classmates or to tell to their classmates. And eventually, they will follow suit. Okay, the methods. The doctrine of self-reliance and the law of consecration must be taught to members so that they will understand why they are being asked to prepare themselves and to prepare them to share resources when they see the need. Of course, hindi naman siguro tayo makatulog ng walang may kinakain ang kapitbahay natin. So we have to tend to help them. Okay. Encourage all members to have a portable emergency kit to sustain them for 72 hours or more, especially water. Dapat mayroon tayong mga bottled water yun kaagad. Yun ang buhay natin. Yun ang pinaka-importante sa katawan natin. Tubig. Okay. Since the series of the World Welfare Committee and Relief Society have jointly recommended that all LDS families create a small emergency supply of goods, which could easily be taken with only a moment's notice, which could serve all basic needs for several days if necessary. We also suggested that important family documents be kept together with the supplies to prevent their destruction in an emergency. So I remember before sa opisina ni Bishop Laura, may kahon kami doon ng mga bottled water. So every time mag-meeting kami, inubos namin. Hindi na naman si Bishop. So I don't know kasi wala na kaming meeting physically. So maybe, I think mayroon pa doon sa opisina. So let's make a habit na kailangan may mga bottled waters tayo. Of course, not only bottled waters, but canned foods. Okay. Training for what to do in a pandemic disaster will be needed for all adult members. Again, as what I told you before, we keep this training to our members. Even in our classes, we tend to continually teach them about this para magiging ordinaryo na lang sa kanila. Pag sigaw lang na, alam na nila kagad ang gagawin nila. Every one of them will be ready to any circumstances that will be arise in the future. Opportunities to teach members to prepare for emergency include sacrament meeting talks, priesthood quorum and relief society joint meetings, first week lesson, ministering companionship message, young men and young women meetings and activities, firesides, ward surveys, first aid training, share training, relief society groups. So, ang kailangan natin, in closing, ang kailangan natin, award list and map. Members, nagawa tayo ng list ng mga members with a map. Members assigned to assist those with special needs. Tulad ng sinabi ko kanina, members with special skills or equipment will direct response effort. The bishop should determine who will direct response effort. Okay. Priority action emergency account for all the ward members. Assess needs of ward. Assess those who are injured or in danger. This is the most important part. Reportedly, selected services. The ward may provide selected services, members and clothing, first aid, medical assistance, temporary housing, sanitation, food preparation, comfort, recreation. Then this is the local contacts. State presidency, Nalor, Rod Samson, President Rod Samson, 939-240-0475. Second Councilor Patrick Lacunsay, 948-608-8807. Then the bishopric, Dean Slora, Bishop, 0907-693-0418. Jeffrey Lorio, 0921-994-8296. Second Councilor Jacob, my number is 975-531-5598. First Councilor Rico Stanislao, hindi ko nakuha number. Randy Orbong, 0910-287-3900. Relief Society, Olive Stanislao, 0917-522-2061. Brenda Kama, 0975-238-9478. Then Roda Disability, 0997-226-3242. Then Marikina Mayors dapat, sorry. 646-1634, 645-62994, or 645-6140. Vice Mayors, 8646-1632. Marikina City Hall, 646-2360. Marikina Fire Department, Pulang T, 933-3076. Police Department, 646-1631. Rescue, 161. Malanday Barangay Office, 941-6106. Then PNP Community Precinct, 942-1346. That's all, brothers and sisters. Thank you for attending. Then we will have a short open forum if you wish. Hello, brethren. Is there any question?
Wala na
President.
ba tama? I think,
Wala
si
na.
President Samson.
Okay, sige.
nandito siya.
Okay, sige. That's it. Kung walang mga tanong, well, I think that is the end of our training. Bishop.
Pinabilib mo kami. Almost 2 hours ka nagsalita. Dire-diretso. Inaantay
Talaga?
kitang hingi ka ng tubig. Wala eh. Dire-diretso ka. Salute
Sorry,
you.
2 hours.
Okay. Si President Samson nandito. President Samson, do you like to say something about this about this virtual training? President Ruel Samson.
Closing remark, di ba?
Hindi.
Di ba ako?
Ano pa ba, Brother Kama? Closing remarks na tayo.
Sige, closing remarks. Wala mga tanong eh.
Wala naman ng tanong, oo. And then, after ni President Samson, i-invite na ni si Brother Alfred, no? For the closing prayer. Sige, President, I'll give you the time.
Okay, sige. So I will try to pantayan yung kay Brother Kama, yung oras niya.
Hoy, wag.
Brother and sister, maraming salamat sa pag-attend ninyo. Though I think we have a minimal attendance, but it's nice that some of the key leaders ay nandito. And then, Brother Kama, we'd like to express our gratitude for your effort in showing yung expertise and then yung magandang ward emergency plan, which I believe is worthy of imitating din sa ibang mga ward. So, pare-parehas naman tayong nasasalang sa mga emergency cases, and yung emergency plan that was discussed is appropriate for all of us. And siguro that would be submitted kay Brother Jesse Lopez, and then Brother Jesse Lopez will try to make that as part ng sa stake effort to help in this cause. So nakita natin, brothers and sisters, no, sinabi kanina that time will come, things will happen. No? Sa mga panahon na hindi natin ito hindi expect, but it would always happen. Kaya ang sabi ng Diyos, no, if ye are prepared, ye shall not fear. And that is one of the items na gustong ipaintindi sa atin ng Panginoong Diyos, no, through this kind of seminars, yung mga bagay na napaalala sa atin. So this would help us better prepare ourselves sa future events, no, sa mga eventualities. Sabi sa sa Deuteronomy, when sila Moses is traversing yung kanilang to the promised lands, and they experience a lot of trials and tribulations doon sa panahon na yon. Ang sabi doon, when thou art in tribulation, and all these things are come upon thee, even in the latter days. If thou turn to the Lord thy God, and shall be obedient unto his voice, for the Lord God is a merciful God. He will not forsake thee, neither destroy thee, nor forget the covenant of thy father which he sware unto them. So, the voice of the Lord is going down sa atin sa pamamagitan ng ating mga local leaders, sa ating mga inspiration na natanggap, direction coming from them, and binibigay ito sa atin para mas maintindihan natin mabuti. So, kailangan na lang natin gawin dito is we need to adapt yung mga small items dyan, no? We need to practice. Parating minention ni Brother Camo kanina, we need to have yung 72-hour kit. We have yung mga emergency kit natin, first aid kit muna sa simula. So siguro yun ang kailangan nating bantayan, no? Sa mga family natin, no? Para at least they would have this ability to prepare dun sa small item. Sabi nga sa atin, out of small things proceeded which is great. We cannot do the greater thing kung hindi natin kayang gawin doon pa lang sa maliit na bagay. Pero pag nagawa natin yon, na-prepare natin yung maliit na bagay na yun, eventually it would rise up, no? Lalaki ng lalaki yun until ma-fulfill natin yung mga greater responsibilities na kaagapay nito para sa ating brothers and sisters. So everything has been very significant na para sa atin. Yung mga ganitong gathering needs to be continued, no? Patuloy ito. So we need the Relief Society, the Elders Quorum, the Young Man Presidency. Every organization needs to be involved, and then needs to be continually adapt itong plano na ito para nagkaroon na tayo ng naisalang na tayo dito. So yun ang kailangan nating ready na tayo, handa na tayo para magawa natin ito. Practice makes perfect. Perfect practice makes perfect, brothers and sisters. The Lord loves us all, and gusto ng Diyos maging ligtas tayo, maging safe tayo with that ability. And then our obedience to Him, of course, we will be blessed and He would always direct our path. Yung something clear in our heart, ating mind, we will be eventually receive yung safety when the time comes. I know these things to be true. Grateful ako sa inyong lahat and for your faith, for your dedication, for your commitment to serve the Lord. I know this is here in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, President. And once again, thank you po sa inyong lahat sa pag-attend nito. Especially kay Brother Kama, nag-prepare para sa training na to. Nanginginayang ako kasi ang daming hindi naka-attend, 3 ward po ito. But then again, I hope, Brother Kama, be prepared lang. Baka i-request ka ng ibang ward, no? Para mabigyan ng training ulit. Pero magpahinga ka naman sa pagsasalita kasi para hindi ka mapagod. Oh. Sige, ito na din yung time kay Brother. Meron pa mga tanong bago tayo? Baka may mga magtatanong pa eh. Meron pa ba?
Hindi ko napansin 2 oras na yun.
Oo, 2 hours tayo. Almost naman. Hindi naman exact ito. Si Bishop Flora pala andito rin. So, thank you, Bishop, for joining. Bishop Abril ng First Ward, wala siya. Anyway, sige po, wala naman ang katanungan. Alam ko na magpiprepare na kayo ng pagkain nyo. So, Brother Alfred, give namin time for you for the closing prayer.
Okay.
Salamat again.
Dear Heavenly Father, we humbly bow our head before thee to thank you for this wonderful seminar and training that we have. So much thankful for our speaker for the training that he prepared for us. We're so much thankful for this awareness. We're so much thankful, Heavenly Father, for taking care of us always, and we're so much thankful for all the blessing that was given to us in our day. Heavenly Father, please bless us that we may use this as a warning for us and for our family, and that we just also for our leadership to for the awareness of our people. We ask Heavenly Father to please guide us and help us always that we become sensitive in the promptings of the Spirit regarding these things that will happen. We ask Heavenly Father to please continue help us and bless us for our preparation, protect our souls, and also the people around us. And all these things we humbly pray in the name of our Savior Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Thank you for those who attend the training.
Thank you po. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Salamat po sa ating lahat.
Brother Kama, maraming salamat.
Thank you.
Bishop Flora and the rest
Salamat
of
po,
the ward leaders, no, and members kung nag-attend. Maraming salamat po.
Okay.